Hi guys, welcome back to the show. It is in fact the final few minutes of this show, but don't worry because I still have a little bit of time left to share my thoughts, share my opinions with you, but also to make sure that you are always informed and updated about the very latest that happens in the world. All right. Now, make sure to text me or call me on 078 to actually share your thoughts and opinions with me, so that you can be aware about everything that's going on in the world, but also you're letting us know what you think about everything that is happening in the world. All right, so make sure to text me or call me on 078 and while you're at it, you can also make sure that make sure that you let us know what you're thinking by liking us on Facebook and following us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. All right. Now you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel because that is absolutely free of charge as well. And you can always make sure you're listening to the conversation, you're keeping yourself updated, and you're telling everyone about your thoughts and opinions about everything that is happening in the world. And don't forget to download the app because that's available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. That's available completely for free on both iOS and Android platforms, right? Which means you can listen in from either device that you have. And if you have both devices, well, that's all the better, all right? So make sure to do that, all right? Now let's actually head into a conversation because we were talking about this crisis in Afghanistan, about how the United Kingdom is planning to have offshore settlement schemes for people who for Afghan refugees, and also the freedom that journalists have actually want to come to the United Kingdom, especially because they were a crucial part of us getting information in the past 20 years with regard to everything that was happening in Afghanistan. All right, so it's important to keep that in mind as well. Okay, now let's actually head into our conversation. Now, I want to very quickly talk about this resettlement scheme that is going to be on basically that's going to happen offshore for these Afghan refugees, right? Now, Britain actually plans to establish these offshore asylum centers in Pakistan and Turkey for all these refugees in Afghanistan, because they have basically found that they can't possibly rescue all of these refugees by the time the troops have to leave Kabul, right? And the truth is, after the troops leave Kabul, there's actually no guarantee that these people can get out of Afghanistan, right? Because after the troops leave Kabul, the airport is going to be controlled by the Taliban as well, which means that people might not have that exact same passage that they had to come to the Afghanistan airport the same way before the withdrawal of troops, right? So it's important to keep that in mind. And the truth is, because all of these uncertainties actually exist, they basically want all of these countries that are neighboring Afghanistan, like Pakistan, like Turkey, to take in as many refugees as possible, with the promise that the United Kingdom will actually rehabilitate all of these refugees once they have gotten all of these refugees out of Afghanistan. All right, now that is what is happening in Afghanistan. All right, and we're also going to be talking about the media freedom. We're going to be talking about journalists and how exactly they pleaded and finally won their way to come back to the United Kingdom. Welcome back to the show. It is your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and we're talking about the Afghan crisis, right? We were talking about, how the United Kingdom essentially plans to have offshore settlement schemes for Afghan refugees who are trying to flee their country, but also to make sure that their lives are safe and protected, because because they've said that it's virtually impossible for them to save all of these Afghan refugees before the troops are asked to withdraw from from Afghanistan. All right, because the truth is, even those troops have a limited amount of time. They can't possibly rescue all of these refugees. So that's why we have been talking about this. Now, another group of people who have obviously been inconvenienced because of the Taliban, or not inconvenienced, but rather their lives have been put at risk because of the Taliban, are in fact journalists, right? Now, more than 200 Afghan journalists who work with the British media, in fact, have been granted access to the United Kingdom after this appeal that they had through a coalition of British newspapers and broadcasters, right? Now, what's important to keep in mind is that these people have essentially provided us information for the past 20 years, right? Which means that for them to provide us with that information, they've put their lives at risk, they've put their rights at risk, and they've also put their families at risk as well, right? Because the truth is, especially when when you report news from countries like Afghanistan, where there is where those countries don't really tolerate Westernism and they're very anti-Western, it's in fact very scary and very dangerous when you have to be reporting from countries like that, right? So obviously these journalists have actually been given visa waivers to actually come to the United Kingdom in as a way of recognizing the work that they have done. All right, because Dominic Raab, who's the foreign secretary, actually has agreed to issue visa waivers for the group after officials said that the government recognized the risks that they took in their pursuit of providing us with information. Right now, the group will actually be allowed to allowed to enter the United Kingdom outside immigration rules, and this will actually hand them a chance to settle in Britain as well. All right, and now they can actually be accompanied by their immediate family, such as a partner or even a dependent children under 18. However, with all of this chaos that is still surrounding the Kabul airport, there are still a lot of serious concerns about what exactly is going on, about what exactly is happening, and whether they can actually leave the Kabul airport, right? Now, right now, what is happening is that the Taliban is in fact marshaling people into US and UK evacuation so that these people can actually evacuate the country. However, when these troops leave Kabul, what is going to happen to the rest of the people that are stuck in Afghanistan, right? Because after these troops leave Kabul, there's literally no evidence to say that people are going to be allowed to evacuate, right? People are not going to be allowed to evacuate, and that's pretty obvious, because even now, even while the troops are in control of the Kabul airport, what we're seeing right now is that we're having all of these Taliban outside actually trying to block and prevent people from reaching the airport, especially if they don't have documents or identification. But the truth is, it's a crisis. It's a humanitarian crisis. People are literally scared of them dying because they know their rights are at risk, because they know their lives are at risk, and that's not the kind of life that anyone wants to live, right? So it's important to keep that in mind as well. So Raab actually said that to protect these brave Afghan journalists who have worked so courageously to shine a light on what actually is going in Afghanistan, they have granted these journalists and their media staff and their support staff visa waivers to actually come to the United Kingdom. All right, and through an open letter by all of these UK's major newspapers and broadcasters, they actually told, they pleaded and said, look, what, we need to get these people to this country, because if not, they could possibly die. Right, so that is what the conversation is about, and I'm super excited that you are part of the show. But don't worry, because I will be here again tomorrow, same time, same place, same frequency, to share more news with you, to share more thoughts and opinions with you. So until then, make sure that you stay tuned, and make sure you have a safe day and you are keeping yourself safe and you're having an awesome day as well.